Hey, welcome to another episode of Already Christianity. Thanks for your patience. Sorry, we're about 10 minutes behind. But those of you that watch on a regular basis, you know what we're about. It's an apologetics podcast. Just here to defend the faith, talk about the defense of Christianity and how it's relevant in our lives, how it's logically consistent. We've kind of abandoned the big lead up into the shows, and we just like to jump into it. But I always think about people that are watching for the first time and what is an apologetics podcast? What does that mean? Apologia comes from the Greek word. It's from the Greek word apologia. It means to give a defense or an answer for why you believe what you believe. And so that's what we want to do. We just want to have conversations that are practical, that are logically consistent, and that people that follow Christianity or that claim to be Christians can really rely on the fact that what we believe in is true, and it's evidence-based, it's objectively true, it's experientially relevant, it's empirically, there's the data that backs it up.
Rationally compelling.
It's rationally compelling. It's not just, because the Bible says so or because I feel like it. I mean, it's actually something you can depend on and sink your heels into. And so, we were going to do our part 2 of the sign gifts. And the first one was so juicy. and the brothers are on their way. Well, Mo is. But Marquise is a little under the weather, so he's getting better. He's on the mend. He's doing well, but he couldn't be here tonight, so we had to kind of audible. I know Salo had put up an advertisement or whatever, a promo for the part 2, but we had to audible. So if you guys saw the first one and it changed on you, you're not crazy. We're crazy, but we had to do it because Pastor Marquise, is not going to join us tonight, but Momo will be here shortly. And so we'll jump in. So a topic that we had thrown around was Christmas is upon us. We're in the season of the celebration of Christ's birth, even though I hope no one believes that Jesus was born on December 25th. If you do, we'll probably address it as we get closer to Christmas. All the myths and all the winter solstice and all the stuff and the pagan rituals and how Christianity stole a pagan holiday and there's no substance or biblical support for Christmas, which we'll address all that as we get closer. But normally there's Christmas gatherings, and you have people come over and extended family, and sometimes I don't know if it was as bad as 4 years ago, but people weren't talking to each other. I mean, you cut people off for politics and religion, and when you and I grew up at a long time ago. That was the advice we were given, right? 2 things you don't talk about in public is religion and politics. And I've always thought that was crappy advice. I think the reason why we can't talk, respectfully and decently with each other is because we're not used to talking about religion and politics in public. And we should be able to. And so I don't know how it floated around earlier, but there was either a study or someone had sent a video out talking about how there's people that haven't talked to certain close family members. I'm not talking about your second cousin who's a whack job. I'm talking about people that are close to you, your parents. Not
it's actually an Oprah.
Well, was
Oprah video.
Oh, that's right.
But it didn't have any context. It was just a bunch of people saying that
I
doing that.
I texted back and said, "What's the context about it? Not talking. I haven't talked to my son in 3 years, or I haven't talked to my parents in 7 years. Like, holy shit, 7 years, 4 years, whatever it is, at all?
Yeah.
I mean, what did they do? Accuse you of stealing or molesting your child? I mean, that's a whole different ballgame.
Yeah, it was like what without the why.
Yeah, it was weird. It was eclipsed, and so
we asked, "Is this a thing?"
Right. And so you looked it up.
No, we just know it's a thing.
Well, I know it's a thing, but how much of a thing?
Why
is
it's a thing? Yeah, it's rooted in good social research. Right. And you're right. It feels like it would have been worse 4 years ago, but it actually has remained constant. It's just that it was new 4 years ago. It actually wasn't new it's actually been new since the age of Trump, really in 2016. And then it was accentuated in 2020 because things intensified in 2020. And then the question was, is it still real in 2024? It was right around the election. And then it became an issue because it was November election. We're going into Christmas. So everybody's talking about shunning family members at Christmas time.
Right.
So anyway, that's why we thought, okay, is this a thing? Maybe we should talk about what's going on here. And a lot of people identify as Christians who are doing this.
With the cutoff thing?
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, it's not just Christians, but I mean, it's...
Well, to me, and you know how we, on the show, if we're Christ followers, we have to root everything in Scripture.
Yeah, you bet.
And so is that biblically sound First of all, should Christians be cutting off anybody? And what if somebody wants to cut you off for your beliefs? But what's the data? Do we have any data on this?
Well, sure. I mean, the first notable piece of research comes from Tufts University, and that's in 2022. And Tufts had determined that the cutoff of families is becoming more and more pronounced for political differences. And there they addressed the notion that this kind of tends to fall along partisan fault lines, that Democrats are increasingly more likely to do that, or people who identify themselves as Democrats are more likely to do that than Republicans. Fast forward 2 years later, the Public Religion Research Institute did a similar analysis, but they delved a little bit deeper into the weeds, and they determined that, in fact, that's the case. It's some 5 times more likely that somebody who identifies as a Democrat is more likely to shun a family member over political differences. So then it gets into, okay, what are your religious predilections?
What is the sample size?
Well, it's statistically significant.
All right.
We check that, and that's a good question, because a lot of times they say it's random, and it's actually not random. No sample, by the way, in public polling is ever truly random. To actually end up with a truly random sample, you need a list of every single person in the population, which is impossible, and then you also need every subgroup to be proportionally represented, which is not possible. So you approximate, and then you deal in confidence levels, and then you have margins of error. This is why you kind of dilute. So keeping that in consideration, it's the closest we can ever get to a true random sample. The question is, can you defend it statistically that it's representative? And the answer is yes. These are research institutes that actually specialize in this. And so that's why the data was meaningful. And then we step back, Nico, and say, okay, that's what they're saying. Do we see evidences of this? And I think people who are listening can say, just listen to the kind of dialogue that's going on social media, just anecdotally. I mean, you can see that it's tribal, as you say. There's a lot of sort of silo mentality to this. People get into their little echo chambers, and then they tend to divide over these things, and then they tend to sort of disown each other to the point of not going to meaningful family gatherings. That's how caustic it is. But the question is, where is this happening most predominantly?
But it seems
it does seem to be. It does seem to be on the Democratic side of the aisle. The question is why? Why?
Well, I mean, it's almost cultish. I mean, in ideology. Look, I mean, and I guess people on the right side do the same, can do similar things, but it's obviously not as prevalent as you're saying. The data shows us on the left. But what's the cause of that? When you think through that, what's the cause of it, and should it happen? And then how does the Christian respond to that? I mean, those are the questions I have, because the only time I would ever cut somebody off is if they accused me of doing something immoral and they question my character. Well, then you don't want to talk to me anyway. But I don't cut people off because they have a different set of opinions.
So let's laser in. There's the 2022 study from Tufts University, and then there's the 2024 study right after the election in December 22nd of 2024, right before Christmas, but after the November 2024 election from the Public Religion Research
After
Institute.
the presidential election.
Yeah. And so that's fairly meaningful. And it was something like a split of 5 to 25, conservative to liberal, of people who believe that it was okay to shun family members over political differences. It's a five-fold difference. And so the question is, becomes why? And I think the reasons that were offered is because there's a sense that people are voting against them. So you vote for Trump, you're a conservative, I'm a Democrat. And so I get the sense that you voted against me. It was a personal slight. They take it personally. It wasn't just that you or their friend or their family member was voting for a candidate that they believe best represents their priorities. It was a personal slight. They're taking it personally. They draw offense from that, and they conclude that individual has animosity towards them. This is how developed it is. And so
where does that originate from?
Well, I mean, this ultimately, the reason why it matters to us is because if you shun people, there he is.
Momo.
There he is with an every good gift sweatshirt and a New York Yankees hat.
Why are you wearing blue? We're talking politics. You got to wear blue?
It seems...
I
I think you're being provocative. Yeah. A New York Yankees hat in Texas saying every good gift. I mean, okay.
Boy, I thought you had the red cup. The R rated.
Oh, I had this earlier at the office.
I mean,
We're
what-
all blue. Come on, we're all blue.
What's
What's happening?
Did you do this behind?
I'm wearing
What's
blue.
happening?
I mean, these Mamdani
Oh,
supporters
man,
are just.
I tell you, what's going on?
I mean, what,
So we were talking about getting, you know the topic, right? I mean, we're getting
Yes.
cut off over religion and politics over the Christmas time. Why it's happening. George, of course, was going through data
Right.
and studies.
Come on.
Yeah.
Yes, yes.
So has anybody ever cut you off?
Have I ever been cut off? That's a great question.
Canceled? Have you been canceled by people close to you?
he's thinking
I
it's
mean,
early.
if
yet.
it was very short lived. It was very short lived.
Over what? Over religion or
I'm
politics?
trying to think about like what.
Are you
what-
friends with non-Christians?
Oh yeah. Oh my goodness.
Are you sure?
I'm in a couple group texts right now for sure.
I know you're
Definitely.
Republican. Are you friends with Democrats?
Wait, you know on what? We're running back.
I'm joking.
What?
No, but-
Breaking news.
But as people close to you,
Uh-huh.
whether it's politics or religion or whatever,
Yeah.
I'm talking close family members. Did you have that
Yeah.
issue? I mean, did you avoid each other or?
For me, no. I think there would, if there was anything, there would be a heated moment, heated conversation. It was probably over the latest thing that I could think about, and this is, I mean, latest being a couple years. It was probably over. It was probably over some like hot cultural topic.
Right.
It's probably over something hot in culture.
With a family member or a friend?
Yeah. Family and friends.
Oh.
Yeah.
Is it top secret or can you talk
No,
about it?
no.
Can I cross-examine you?
I see. Yeah, you see, it's coming out. You know, it's the
I can't
natural.
help
It's in the blood. It's in the blood.
It can't help it. I would say there was a lot of this. I mean, I think I heard you. I was listening on the way here.
Okay,
as
good.
one of the viewers. A lot of this during 2020. A lot of this during 2020.
Or 2024? Both.
2020.
Oh, 2020.
2020. 24 was less. If in my circle and in my world.
Did you change your opinion between 20 and 24? Or did you just not talk to people about the issues?
No, I think I was. I think I was less beat my chest, try to prove something to others, or try to like forcefully, you know, because again, honestly, some of those things you get into just like it's not even in good faith. That's like it gets to that point. And I'm not, at that point, and I'm not even now, but not above that. But so there's these things where you get into it with your cousins and you're just going at it. And it's like, okay, at some point, we're not even listening to one another. We're not even, and then it just is like ghosts. Oh, I don't think I could be around some of y'all. It's just these things. And then, it definitely racial elements of it as well.
Racial with your family?
Oh, come on.
Black
of
on black crime? What are you talking about? What are we talking about?
Oh, man.
How is it? How could? What do you mean racial elements? If everybody is the same?
Oh, man. I
ethnicity?
wish, Q was here as well.
Look, if you were a real black man, you'd believe this way.
Yeah, is that
some of those
kind
things,
of like a
some of
Larry
those
Elder
sentiments
attacks?
sometimes.
Oh, got it.
Yeah, some of those sentiments for sure. Or there would be.
So so people that you're talking about correlated ideology to ethnicity.
I would say they correlated. Yes, yes. From a very basic level, the ideology that I had, and again, that's when it was boiled down to. Now we're just getting to a point where we're just throwing mud at one another.
Right.
So it starts in a spot, at the very surface level of, and this is crazy what happened. Is it that crazy what happened? And, well, why would you, and then it starts, getting into. But I think what was the tough part is that it gets to a point where, and sometimes it'll start at a point where you're trying to just kind of wrestle through things, and then it starts to get to the character. Like
Start
now
attacking character.
you are like attacking me as a person. Like the
That's what kind of what
character
George
that
was
I
saying that
am.
the studies reflect.
And that's
It's
when it's
personalized.
like,
It's personalized.
wait a second, because of this, and I was just thinking about it. Even just off myself, but certain family, dynamics. Now, I would agree that there are certain times that I've been in situations, family Thanksgivings, different things like that, where I'm sitting there and I'm like, this is horrible. I was just thinking about a scenario, many people having their family, different people from different backgrounds, have a gay cousin, they bring their partner over with them. And being berated, where I was like, I wouldn't sit in this. Like I would never
Like
stand.
family members berating
Oh
other.
my goodness! Well, berating the person that brought their same sex person, like,
And this is in your family?
yeah, for sure. Yeah, yeah.
What did Marquise do?
I don't even know if he was there.
Well, he was the gay guy.
Oh, God, Crystal, sorry.
Oh no! But these are things
You know, it's
where
just not fair he's not here.
You sit. I know, right? You sit in a spot where there's certain times where I was like, yeah, you as that person, you probably should. And I actually there was moments where it got to a point where I had to like intervene. I'm like, what are we?
That's funny. I had.
What are we doing?
I talked to a buddy of mine today. We had lunch, and we were talking about a family member that was taking a strong position over somebody bringing a same-sex individual. Relationship, and should they be welcomed into the home and all that stuff? And we're condoning this, or going over to someone's house that are living together but they're not married. We shouldn't have dinner with them because then we're supporting their. And I thought, and I said, I just don't think that's the way it is. You can love on somebody and not support what they're doing.
For sure.
And so I don't, if I had a family member that was in a same-sex relationship, I told this person they'd be welcomed in my home, but they're not welcome to express their affection to each other, because then now you're doing things in front of my kids, and I get to control the environment in my home. And so, and then if you take that personal, well, then that, I can't control that.
Totally.
All I know is, just like you don't want me to smoke in your home, I don't want that to be shown in my home.
I was just about to say the same thing.
So,
Yeah.
so and even though it's not a 1-for-1, and they would
No,
not
of
accept
course.
that
Yeah,
as
yeah,
that,
for sure.
But of course you're welcome in my home, and of course I would go have dinner in your home, without condoning. Because the issue that came up initially was, well, they're living together. You shouldn't be living together. There's nothing biblical against being a roommate with somebody. It's what happens when you're a roommate with somebody. So when you live together,
Unwise.
right? When you live together, it's just you're making it public what people were guessing was happening anyway. That's really what the issue is. But there's nothing biblical. The living together is not the problem. It's what happens when you live together that's the problem. And he's like, oh, that's a good point. And then we talked about same-sex relationships. And I said, look, we're called to be, the church is a hospital for sinners, right?
my
Which
gosh.
I'm one of them.
Yeah.
I just sin differently than I used to 10, 15, 20 years ago, 30 years ago.
Yeah.
And I hope I sin differently tomorrow and the next 10 years. And so I don't understand the fact that you can't welcome somebody because who obviously is living a life that you don't support, that you don't agree with and condone, and you can welcome them into your home without condoning their behavior, their lifestyle.
It makes sense when politics isn't just politics, but it becomes the locus or the center of your morality. Then it makes sense. Because if your politics is your religion, if your politics is what's divine in your life, that makes perfect sense, because then you see it as betraying really truly who you are. And somebody who takes a different position, now they're actually betraying you at your very center. And that's the problem. We've leaped into a point where there's enough people in society where politics has become the religion and not just a way to express their religious convictions.
Right. You and I've talked about this. Politics to me is the platform to express ideas.
Right. Right.
And so my ideas are biblical. My lens is a biblical worldview. The Islamic person is Islam. The Hindu is Hinduism, Buddhism, atheism, progressivism, whatever it is. But the Christian seems like they can't express we can't express our ideas the same way other people can. And I call bullshit on that. I don't think we should accept that as this one-way kind of piñata mentality that Christianity has taken. And so we're the only country that's obsessed with Republican and Democrat. That's not. I vote a certain way now, but that's not who I am. That's not my idea. I am not a Republican. I am not a whatever, fill in the blank. I'll vote a certain way because whichever platform it's obvious today that supports my Jesus and my biblical convictions, then that's it. If they change, they're going to change. I'm not. I'm with Jesus. Period. End of story.
Yeah. I think to that point, though, I think that's the thing that baffles me is when we get to a point where, that's the thing, when you talk about the obsession of it, so much of it also where you sit back and you're like, why have we waited for this family gathering? And now again, there's so much more of us. There's so much more parts of us, your children, your hobbies, who you're rooting for in the Super Bowl. It's just like, there's so much more.
Are you going to hell? I want you to work on the salvation.
But it's just like there's so many more.
But you
take
can't.
the opportunity.
You're asking a question, which is a great question. But if politics is truly the center of your morality, if it's really sort of the you know, north on your compass, every time, anytime is appropriate to raise differences because
For that
you're
individual.
being a good religionist. I mean, you're being a good and faithful follower of your religion.
Yeah.
Just kind of like, when is it good to share Jesus? Well, technically, anytime.
Right.
Anytime's a good time to share Jesus because we've been called to do that.
Right.
That doesn't mean you don't consider the audience. Doesn't mean you don't consider propriety. I get it.
Yeah.
But generally speaking, it's never a bad time to share your faith. Always be ready. Always be ready. Right. To give a reason for the hope that lies in you. So that's the problem. We've crossed that line into where political preferences are now central to worldview.
But you brought up 1 Peter 3:15 and 16 people forget, but do it with the respect and gentleness. And we forget
Yeah, I use
that part.
propriety, but that's so much better.
Well, but yeah, I don't understand what the hell that means. But I've been in those
Appropriate and
situations
inappropriate,
where people aren't. We're not conditioned to discuss politics and religion in a professional way.
I agree.
We're just
I agree.
not. Everyone gets spicy. Like you have an open sore, and someone, hey, you touched my sore, and everyone, just talk, just talk ideas. You know,
I think there's a part of that. I think there's the part of, for me, where even for that person, that individual, showing that there's so much more interest for me as just a person in you beyond those things, and it may get to that. But there's the other side that I think that you're hinting at, Nico, and maybe I'm trying to think of it more from a strategy standpoint, that we are in a cultural moment that we are so emotionally immature and stunted when it comes to the conversations because it quickly gets to emotion. It quickly gets to, and now logic is out the window. Now it's now it gets into pissing contests. Now well, meet me outside. Now you're it's like, oh my goodness, you guys are 55. What are you? You're fighting? You're throwing blows now? What are you doing? So these things where
give him my card.
Give them your card.
Yeah. Someone's picking up an assault at your house.
That's right. Yeah. Right. But so these things, but for me, I mean, on the strategy side, where I'm like, also, if you haven't talked to me all year and now you want to prod into that, I don't know. For me, I'm just like, I guess there's more or there's other things. And I'm not saying not to talk about it or to shy away from it, but I just feel like for family, goodness, there's so many other things to be.
Well, there's got to be something that unites you. I mean, in our office, there's people that have all kinds of political views. And well, everyone is at least, I'm trying to think, there's no atheists in our office. I don't think they would.
Oh, are they all Christian?
They are all cultural Christians for sure.
Okay.
But most of them, I haven't done a survey, but everyone knows the way I am. I'm very open about my faith.
Yeah.
And they know that it's a biblically centered firm.
Yeah.
And I pray with them. I pray over them. I tell them I pray for them.
Yeah.
We pray before big trials and pray in between trials.
Yeah.
So, I mean, that's just it. That's the culture there. Culture just meaning the way we do things.
Totally.
So everyone at the office is exposed to Christianity. When we have our Christmas party here, there will be prayer before it. We're celebrating the birth of Christ.
Love it.
I mean, that's just the way it is. I mean, we on purpose do a Christmas commercial.
See,
I
that's
purposely
important.
do a Christmas commercial. I don't say happy. I can't stand happy holidays. Look, I get it. There's a song, Happy Holidays. You can technically say happy holidays, in my humble opinion, before Thanksgiving, because there's a shit ton of holidays. But after Thanksgiving, it's only, I mean, I get Hanukkah, but culturally, it's Christmas. You know, and
Kwanzaa for the Muslims.
Who? Did you say Kwanzaa?
No, not Kwanzaa.
It's not Kwanzaa.
It's not Kwanzaa?
Not for them Islamic people.
No?
Kwanzaa's for what's it?
What's Kwanzaa for?
Well, it's an African.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's an African
That's why I
tradition.
For
said-
you.
Well, it's a lot of black Muslims from the African tradition that Kwanzaa is their thing and not Christmas.
Okay, well,
But not because we're Muslim.
Got it.
But
Thank
because
you
they're
for the
African.
correction.
Yeah, it's okay.
Thank you for the
That's-
correction. Yeah.
you betrayed your people.
Yeah.
So, I mean, so here we are.
As I said, I'm the only African American here. So I don't slay you.
You got to give me the correction on that.
Yeah,
That's
no,
good.
but it's and I say for us, you know, some people celebrate whatever, but for us, we celebrate the birth of Christ. I say that, and it's going to be a commercial out there. I'm not going to dance around. I want to be very clear what I believe.
Isn't this sort of the cog in the wheel here, though, because we celebrate the birth of Christ, and whether you're agnostic or atheist. I mean, this has been my experience in America, having come from across the water.
Right.
And I grew up in the Northeast and in neighborhoods that were politically mixed. I remember it now, and I reflect on it. I didn't care then, but now I reflect on it, which a true miracle. And it's the American miracle.
It's the American miracle.
Because Americans valued coming together. And I like what you said. Hey, can we just come together over football? There were certain traditions that were built in.
Yeah.
I think Christmas is central to that. There are certain traditions that are built into the culture that reflect our priorities, which is appreciating one another. And that mattered more. At one time, that mattered more. And now you got to step back and say, what was the principle undergirding all that, where you could actually come together, have distinct political differences, but it was more important that you showed the other that you value them, that you appreciate them, that you value your time together. There's a principle that everybody sort of, kind of an unspoken rule, a glue that people operated on. And what I would submit is that that's eroded over time. And the reason is because there's been a shift in worldview. And if you shun, I don't care if, and a lot of these people consider themselves Christians in these surveys, in the Public Religion Research Institute. And I just want to say up front, that is distinctly un-Christian. There's nothing Christian about it. In fact, you're shunning family members at Christmas. That is a shunning of the very Christmas spirit.
You're right.
For God so loved the world that he gave his only begotten son, that whosoever believes in him will not perish, but have everlasting life. For God did not send his son into the world to condemn the world,
Right.
but so that the world might be saved through him. How is that ultimately, Mo, not about reconciliation?
That's the word.
A really
Yeah,
tough
huge.
time to reconcile when you're flipping double barrels at your cousin,
Yeah.
right? Because he voted Biden. Because, after all, Biden said, if you don't vote for him, you're not black. But setting that aside.
Don't look at me like that, Nico. Don't look at me like that.
Can I look at my brother? I'm looking at you.
It just doesn't
Don't
work anymore.
look at me like
There was a
that.
time when that was
Admiring
red
you.
meat. Now he just fell asleep on me.
No,
I'm just admiring my brother.
I caught it. It's true.
Right?
It's true.
Is that
Yeah.
the entire Bible ultimately one giant
my
reconciliation
goodness.
story?
Yeah.
How do you shun, I'm a believe in Jesus. How
Right.
do you shun family members? I mean, unless they're threatening physical harm. I get it.
Right. There's
I get-
definitely
Like to
reasons
kill
that
you.
are valid and different things like that. But I tell you, and that was the one that kind of threw it around in our group chat because I just saw that video Oprah had put out on social media, and it was just like I think just that.
What was the
stuck out to me.
context?
I think it was
Oprah,
more. I
right?
mean, it was popular. I mean,
Cultural stuff?
no, it was kind of pushing her show that she's. But she's,
No, but what was the question? But then when people we were talking about it,
Yeah,
when
yeah.
people were saying, I haven't spoken to my parents in 4 years.
so she's diving
I've-
into a book from a psychologist.
But what I'm saying is, what were the reasons why they hadn't spoken to their family members?
I don't know. I honestly don't think that she dove into them.
But isn't that the natural question? You
For
haven't spoken
sure,
to your parents
I'm
in
with
7
you.
years.
I'm with you.
Why?
I'm with you,
You
and I'm
haven't
sure
spoke to
that
your
there's
son?
some that are valid, but also if I were to just take a swing and take a bet, it would be
Political.
also some that are I would say that fall into the category of being very trivial. They're like, that's the thing you're going to say, I'm not talking to my son over. That's the thing that I'm no longer talking to family. And from a perspective of people who, again, from the Christian lens, but also if you've suffered loss, if you've suffered like that person's no longer here or family, and you're like, and you sit back and you're like, man, that's the thing you decided, I never talk to him anymore or that person anymore. And again, getting our cues from scripture in the life of Jesus. For me, I sit back and I think, to your point, George, there's a lot of the ideology piece of it. And then there's a part of me where I'm also, and we talk about this often too, how much we are being shaped and discipled by social media and the polarization of how media and what we're consuming, it only feeds you. And you talk about this well, George, it only is feeding you bias. It's only
Which you already agree.
entrenching the that person is this and that person. And I wanted to get into that too, of just the amount of labeling and now it's much easier for me not to love you because of how much these dehumanizing language and this and over there and and it's just, it only gets us to these tribalistic corners. And again, to your point, I'm old enough just a little bit where I think back and I'm like, man, family time, dude. There was even with the strong disagreements, there's people in our family that vote certain ways, vote other ways, but it was still, there was so much more of a common unity around two people in the kitchen cooking together that, goodness gracious, they're nothing alike. but they're laughing over this. They're playing dominoes and spades and these different games,
Spades.
and I mean, just so much, right?
Love space.
But now we're losing a fabric of, and again, the most disheartening thing for me is people who call themselves Christians.
Yeah.
And you look at the life of Jesus and these moments when he's dining with sinners, dining with those who were like the least of these in society, the tax collector, the prostitute, and being called a friend of sinners.
Well, that was his second indictment, right? The second count of the indictment, besides claiming to be Messiah.
Yeah.
But that's exactly right. And that's exactly where I go with this when you say, what are you talking about? I mean, he was a friend of sinners. So why can't we be friendly to sinners without? So here's a member in the church. A bad word used to be tolerant. You go, I can't tolerate this. What are you talking about? Jesus tolerates my stupid ass every day. And there were seasons he
good
really
point.
tolerated
good
me. And
point.
thank God for his grace and mercy. Now, there's a difference between tolerance, and condoning.
Totally.
Right. So,
Totally.
so to condone is to support
Totally.
and to be okay with it. Tolerant is just to tolerate. I'm tolerating something that I don't like or I don't agree with, but I'm going to tolerate it for whatever reason. And that sounds like it's such a condescending concept, but
Right,
it's
I
really
can
not.
see
We
how
all
people say
tolerate
that.
something. We tolerate our kids. I mean, we do. I mean, we don't kick them out the door. Right? And so tolerance is not a bad word, and it should be a word more accepted in Christianity. Condoning is a whole different ballgame, and I get it. We don't condone behavior that's not biblical. Right.
Yeah, yeah. Mm-hmm.
That you tolerate people, you make room for others, recognizing that you're kind of looking at yourself at one point.
Yeah. Oh my goodness. That's such a great point.
And that comes from somewhere. And that's an American tradition, which is ultimately rooted in a biblical ethic. It truly is. I happen to have the autobiography of Ben Franklin. And when we do seminars on America's Christian background, America's Christian founding, if you will.
America's Christian? No, I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding. I got him. I got him. I got him.
I
Joking,
tolerate
I'm
you.
joking. He
I tolerate
tolerates-
you.
Sorry. Come on. Had to throw some more red meat out there for you.
Red, I know. Of course.
And he goes through his virtues, 12 to 13 virtues. And Nico and I were just
I have the book. I have the book.
Mm,
you could literally pull these out of the scriptures.
yeah.
And of course, he wrote copiously about his fondness for the teachings of Jesus, as did Jefferson, was overt in talking about that. So that's been truly in our DNA. Not as with respect to former President Obama, who said that racism's in our DNA in 2008.
Man, why'd you have to do that?
Why?
Why'd you have to? I mean, this guy's gonna.
Go. Here we go.
We have to talk about a particular departure.
Oh,
No, you can't talk about President Obama.
one
You
of the
can't talk
most
about TD Jakes.
unifying moments. in
No,
our
your
house.
guest.
But I think this is really the crux of the issue, isn't it? That Jesus, because I forgot to love the world,
Mhm.
Jesus is God's chief minister of reconciliation.
So good.
But there's a rub.
Yeah.
There's a rub. In 2 Corinthians chapter 5, verse 17, if any man is in Christ, he is a new creature.
Yeah, yeah.
Christ has done a work. And that's the last verse in 2 Corinthians 5,
Man.
16 previous verses, where Paul talks about, here's what Christ has done. And then he goes to verse 18, and he kind of does a summary statement. All of this, all of these benefits that Christ has done is from God, who through Christ reconciled us unto
To him. Yep.
and gave us
The ministry of reconciliation.
That's right.
Come on.
You're a Christian and you're shunning family
Talk.
members, man,
That's
I
really
suppose
good.
That's going to get in the way of your ministry of reconciliation.
Well, and
So
of
good.
course there.
I'm so sorry.
Huh?
Something just happened to your audio. Did you press something on here by chance?
His in particular or everyone's?
Just Jordan.
Can you hear my? Can you hear me,
Testing.
George?
Uh oh.
I can
I
hear
mean,
you.
when you.
Just lost you.
Oh, just there. Okay.
Back, or am I still lost? Am I still lost?
I can
Is
hear
it
you.
this mic that's better?
You can sit over here. We'll share. Me and Momo share.
No, let's see, because we can put this one over there too.
Mic switch. Sorry, George. Hold on.
Nobody here plays Tetris, obviously. Test it.
Testing 1, 2, 3. Can you hear me? Yes, coming through, not coming through. 1, 2, 3.
We're good.
All right.
well,
You came against sign gifts last week, and I think what happened
You think
right
that's it?
now, I think, you know,
we're coming next week. We're coming
Yes,
next
of course.
week.
It's the devil according to Mo.
Yeah.
Okay. I got it. All right. So you're saying the devil's on your side. I mean, I don't know if that's a great
That's
position.
good.
Oh, okay.
That's good.
But think about that. Jesus says, hey, not so fast. This isn't just about Jesus. And it occurs to me in the Sermon on the Mount,
Yeah.
reconciliation's at the center
It's at the
of the Sermon on the Mount, right?
Yes.
And we was talking about anger
Yes.
and a precursor to murder. And in Matthew 5, 23, 24, I mean, he really hits them. In ancient Judaism, the highest form of piety and religion was when you went and publicly dropped alms or gifts before the altar. And Jesus says, look, he makes it an issue, reconciliation. If you are dropping off a gift at the altar
Come on.
and it occurs to you that your brother's got an issue with you,
Yeah.
leave your gift,
Leave it.
go and be reconciled to your brother,
Come on.
and then come back
So good.
and give your gift, as if to say, hey, worship is important, but there's higher priorities, because if you are walking around and you're not reconciled to your brother,
come on.
your worship is
Yeah.
actually meaningless.
Yeah.
It's a slap in the face to
Yeah.
God himself. So that's kind of the priority. And it stuns me that today, so many Christians say that it's okay to shun mom and dad and to shun their brothers. Some of them have been brothers for decades, brothers and sisters,
Yeah.
and they're splitting over this stuff. I think you really need to step back and say whether, in fact, are you really being Christian or are you Christian at all? I don't know.
Here's the thing I want to throw out there, because I think what's fascinating about how powerful belief is that there are people, and this is where I hinted at a little bit with the labeling, that because you have now put this person, now again, I believe wrongly, in this category of whatever that is, a Nazi, racist, hates people, bigot, all this thing. Now that you have put them for probably more than likely wrong reasons, or just because they voted away, or just because now you would look at that person like that. Now, the thing is, if it was actually true, I can understand you seeing someone in like, hey, my family over there with that person who's an actual hateful, big, like these things where it's like, oh, I probably would put boundaries with my kids around this person. But now, to points that we make here often, just because they wear a hat that says MAGA, or just because they voted this way, or just because Biden, or whatever now they put a post on Facebook and you've already, in your mind, made that person X. And we have people in our political system. I mean, so now half the country, like 80 million people, are that because of politics. So it's fascinating to me how quickly we can get to a point and we've stopped talking, we've stopped interacting, we've stopped engaging with these different ideas, to a point where you now see that person so strong from the most, again, a post, in their bio, and they say Democrat, or they say this, and now you've written them off. So you've already canceled without conversation, without curiosity, without any other things. And so it's fascinating to me, man, that we have gotten to such a place, and it only makes me wonder where this ends up. Like, if we follow down this path, where does this go?
Well, and the only, I guess thing I add to that is I like to substitute politics with partisanship,
Mm-hmm.
because the Christian movement is a political movement.
Yeah, I hear you.
I mean, when you,
Yeah,
in
yeah,
the
yeah.
true sense, and I'm going to say it over and over again until
Come on,
everybody
man,
hears
give
it.
that definition, baby.
I mean, a set of politics, true definition, if you break down the word polity and politico and all that stuff, a set of ideas advocated by a group of people to affect the lives of others. That is a good working definition of politics, not partisanship.
I got you.
A set of
For sure,
ideas
for sure.
advocated by a group of people to affect the lives of, that's Matthew 28:19.
Yeah.
That's the Great Commission, going to all nations, making disciples of all men, teaching them to obey, affect the lives of others, all that I've commanded, baptizing in the name of the Father, Son, Holy Spirit. I mean, that's a political statement. That's a political charge. That's the last thing Jesus said to us as he's ascending back to heaven. He made a political charge, not a partisan charge, because they didn't know anything about Republicans, Democrats. The United States wasn't even developed back then. But that's a political statement. So that I really, maybe I'm too much of a lawyer, but words have definitions matter to me.
Yeah.
And so the partisanship is, I think, what you're talking about. But
I'm with you.
politics, I think we're ambassadors for Christ. That's a political statement.
Yeah.
We're representing 2 Corinthians
kingdom.
5 that
Yeah,
you
yeah,
mentioned.
yeah.
We're representing the home country in a foreign land.
Yeah.
I mean, Colossians talks about us not. This is not our Philippians. I'm sorry, 3:20. I think it is that we're not citizens of this world.
You're right.
I mean,
Right.
so these are all political
Sojourners.
designations that our home is in heaven.
Yeah.
Our politique is a biblical one.
Right,
A
right,
set of
right.
ideas.
Fully agree.
And so the partisanship is what gets me. And look, and those labels may mean something different in 10, 15 years. That's why when someone says, I am Republican or I am Democrat, okay, that's when you start getting into me more of a religious fervor. I am a Christ follower. I am an American.
Yeah.
I am a husband. I am a daddy
Yeah.
who happens to vote fill in the blank. Do you see my point?
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
And I know it might be nitpicking, but I think it's a mental thing. It's a mindset. And then I think we temper what George is saying, and I agree. And I know George is not advocating for us to be doormats. I love what Romans 12:18 says, because Romans 12:2 says, revere Christ as Lord and do not conform to the patterns of this world,
Right.
but be transformed by the renewing of your mind. So don't be conformed to the world's way of doing things. Don't be conformed to the world's ideology. Be transformed by a renewed mind. Once we say yes to Jesus, Holy Spirit lives inside of us, and we are sealed with him. But it says in verse 18, if it is possible, I love that. As far as it depends on you, which don't violate the 11th commandment, right?
Yes.
Don't be a
yes.
dick.
Yes.
So as far as it depends on you, live at peace with everyone. I love that. So, and then Scripture says, Jesus tells us in Matthew 5 to be a peacemaker, not a peacekeeper. And so you combine all these things together in Ephesians 4:15 to speak the truth in love. 2 Timothy 1:7, don't do it with timidity. Don't live a life of timidity. So don't
For
be afraid.
sure.
So, and I think the reason why we have these passionate discussions over the dinner table when you see your family member once a year, whatever it is because we're not trained to have conversations without hating somebody.
Yeah.
And then the world, on purpose, in my opinion, because I think this is purposeful, that they set the standard of you have to hate someone you disagree with,
That's true.
and that's stupid. How about we just disagree?
How do we adopt that?
Well, I mean,
in the
because we're
church?
weak and we're stupid. So weak and stupid is a bad combination, and that's what happens.
Yeah.
And the church is no better. Don't get
But
me
it's,
wrong.
but it's actually brilliant if your worldview says that anybody who disagrees with you is definitionally evil.
Sure.
And that's a worldview issue. And that's why I'm saying I think
Yeah.
people who are claim to be believers who may be listening to the show, if you're claiming, these are contradictory things. If you're claiming that you are a disciple of Christ, but there's a part of your worldview that suggests that somebody who believes or who disagrees with you on issues that are critical to you, and I'm not talking flippant issues
Right,
like who your
I'm
favorite
with you.
football team is, but moral issues,
Yeah.
that person is inherently or fundamentally evil. That's a serious problem. I mean, it really is. I
Yeah.
mean,
Yeah.
again, you just got to step back and say, the Bible doesn't advocate that.
Mm.
So while we were yet God's enemies,
Talk the word,
he
brother.
pitched
Yeah.
I mean, he sent
Right.
Jesus to die for us, who is
Right.
the master reconciler.
Yeah.
You mentioned Colossians, and I didn't know where you were going with it. Go there, but I'm glad you did. I'm trying to remember. It's Colossians chapter 1, verse 20. Tyler, if you can pull that up, I'd appreciate it.
Can you or no?
That God was making peace through His blood shed on the cross. He was paying the price for reconciliation. You can pursue reconciliation. The person you're trying to reconcile with may tell you to F off. There's nothing you can do about that. But you ought to pursue it. I like how you said that. Insofar as it lies within your power, Romans chapter 12. Pursue. What does it look like to pursue that? To doggedly pursue reconciliation.
In truth.
I think Jesus models that. To give up heaven, the comforts of heaven,
Right.
to become man through the incarnation.
Yeah.
And I mean, his whole story, the birth, Christmas, life and ministry, death, burial, resurrection, it's all about the lengths that he went through to reconcile himself, to reconcile people to God. That's got to be our starting position. And we got to, as you say, sit in that.
Has to be our presence.
Man, that's our saving
without
grace.
compromising biblical truth. But there's
Well,
a way
Jesus
to do
didn't
it.
compromise
That's
biblical
right.
truth,
I
right?
mean,
Right.
That's
that's
he's
what.
the model.
That's why I told you. I think I've said this to you, Mo, but I know I've said it on the show over the years, and George knows this for sure. I was fascinated by the historical Jesus before I submitted to him as Messiah.
Mm-hmm.
And he fascinated me when you
Yeah.
study the scriptures
Yeah.
and you understand dynamics and you see the way he interacted with people. And in Matthew 23, he's cussing out the Pharisees. In Holy Monday, he's flipping tables and kicking ass. With the money changers, he's kicking ass. He did that twice. People don't realize he kicked ass twice. I mean, he was a friend of sinners. He dined with Zacchaeus.
Right.
I mean, I'm just looking at this. I was studying him and saying, he just fascinated me, right?
Right.
People marveled at his wisdom,
Mm-hmm.
at his teaching, at his boldness, but also his grace.
Yeah.
And so, when you think you figured out Christ, you can't figure him out.
Yeah.
Historically, because
Yeah.
you can't fit him in a box.
Right.
Because he's perfect. That's
right.
why.
Right.
So that interested me first before I was convinced he was Messiah.
Yeah.
Even though I grew up Catholic and I grew up, saying what I
Mm-hmm.
didn't believe it. I wasn't persuaded by it. There wasn't a level of persuasion. So, but
But even Jesus had his limitations, right? With the Pharisees,
Well,
he's
yeah.
the master reconciler. I love John 9, and because he heals a blind man.
with the blind man.
In the process, he uses that brilliantly while he's healing a blind man, and in dealing with the circumstances of that healing politically and sociologically with the Pharisees in his midst. He points out, here's what it means to be truly blind. And that's where he points out that you people are willfully blind. That's the end of reconciliation. If someone is unwilling at all to even sit and consider what you're saying, and it becomes a big episode in name calling, or as I say, even worse, the threat of physical harm. By the way, if that happens, call Nico.
Yeah.
But that's when the line's drawn. Don't put yourself in obviously unsafe situations.
For sure.
But until then, pursue reconciliation in love, because what do you always say? That somebody is somebody that God is deeply in love
Oh yeah.
with
Oh,
and
true.
and died for.
Yeah.
So that's got to be our starting position.
It
and
has to
that's
be
got to be where
our
we
standard.
park. And so the point is, even people who consider themselves Christians, we have come a long way from that biblical ethic that I think governed Christians and agnostics, and I would submit even atheists
Yeah.
in American culture for so long. I grew
Yeah.
up around a lot of people who didn't believe in God, and
there's
I
so
just don't
many-
remember
there's
this
so
kind of
many-
animosity.
Right.
But
Right.
then there's so many Christians with this self-righteous, that they're, that they think they're pleasing God by being,
true.
pricks.
Yeah.
And again, I'm not saying compromise truth. I'm not
at
that dude.
all.
You know that.
Yeah.
And militantly are very passionately about that. But you can also passionately love them. Just, there's been people in our home for different, firm parties or gatherings where I knew that we disagreed either faith ways, worldview, is there faith, politically, which is influenced by your worldview. But I loved on them. And I've heard, and the people have said, I disagree with Nico, but he's very respectful to me, whatever.
Right.
I'm not going
Right.
to compromise the truth for you.
Right.
I'm not going to compromise the truth for me. The truth is
Right,
truth, whether I
right.
like it or not.
Right.
And we just have to learn. I just think we have not practiced that skill. The skill, and I debate for a living. I litigate for a living, obviously, but we have not learned to critically think.
Yeah.
Because if you don't have to think, you just name call someone, put them in a corner,
Totally.
and then you just you compartmentalize them, and that means you don't have to deal with them.
Yeah.
And you don't have to deal with their ideas.
Right.
And that's what we do. That's what we do, and as a society as a whole. And that's why I want people to talk. I'm a rabid free speech guy. I believe in free speech. I do. You got to be very, very small section of, okay, you can't say this because
Yeah.
it's dangerous or whatever. And I don't mean dangerous meaning like you could hurt your feelings. Nobody cares about your feelings or mine. So I don't know. I just think, and the church should model these things, and it doesn't.
For sure. And when the ability to sit across from people, and as a pastor, there's so much of my conversation when we're dealing with people, phone calls, different, house visits for certain things. So much of it is conflict resolution and actually equipping people and talking through with people of what that looks like, and because there's such a quick wanting a quick out, it's very easy to cancel people. It is
Sure.
very easy to, oh my goodness, and scripture talks about so much of like the offense and all these things. And so there's these moments where we're looking so much for our lives to be, it's like a self-preservation for comfort or for the, and if anybody rubs up against that, if anybody in any the slightest way, and then we're out and we cut it off and we stop talking and we stop doing these things. And so again, it's not a standard at all throughout Scripture, and the stamina to be able to just sit across from someone. And from a starting point, there's so much more that we have in common than we have as far as things that are differing. I mean, if we want to get to those things, we can. But again, the ability to sit across from people that are not like us, and I think even culture is wanting actually some of that. That some of that. And I actually was talking with Nico, just texting a little bit, even for myself, just wanting less of the hyperbole, and that's that's the most noise, right? That's what gets the most clicks. That's what gets the people who are sitting across one another, people who are listening from one another. And I don't know if you guys ever seen Jubilee. They're doing some different things where in society, and I mean they cross the board across so many different things. But politics is one of them, all sorts of things. But what they'll do sometimes is they'll have
Is that those 20 people that stand there.
that's one of their initiatives. The one that I like is that they'll have people from, and I mean across the board, single moms, not single moms, this and that, rich people, poor people, and they're like 4 in each category, right? And they stand back, and then they'll give them a prompt. And if you believe this prompt, you come and sit down. And it's fascinating that when they'll come and sit down, they'll say why they believe it. And typically, sometimes they'll have, only one side comes and they sit down, they talk about why they believe that. Then the other side will come. This is why we disagree with that statement. And then the beautiful things are when you have two different.
Can they hear each other?
Oh, no, they're talking to one another.
But they don't talk over each other.
No, they're talking to each other. And it's fascinating that the beautiful ones are, it's like whether it's rich, poor, whether it's, Democrat, Republican, whatever it may be, it's when they give a prompt and people from both come and sit down of like, yes, I believe that. And it's like, all right, we're supposedly not supposed to agree on anything. But so, yeah, I think there's a hunger in many ways from a societal standpoint of conversation.
What I always encourage people to do is you just interview people. I mean, if I sit down with someone that I disagree with, I ask them why they believe what they believe.
Become curious.
Number one, it validates them. And I'm not trying to worry about how they feel, but I'm just saying, look, you matter. Just because I disagree with you doesn't mean that, because I want to understand you.
Right.
Because maybe that'll help me talk to you differently and better, or help me persuade you differently because I know where you're coming from. So it's called voir dire. You're voir diring. You're trying to ask questions to elicit information. And so I do a mini voir dire. I ask questions. Why is this? Or how does this? And you'd be surprised that if you ask questions and people hear themselves try to explain their positions, you'll find out whether I don't know how to explain it. Well, then why do you believe it? Mm-hmm. If you can't explain it, why? And that applies to Christians too.
Totally.
That applies to conservatives, progressives, whatever, you name it, across the board. If you can't explain why you believe what you believe, then maybe you don't believe it. Mm-hmm. And then you just kind of got sucked into some tribe for whatever reason, based off emotions or based off what you think you believe.
And that's never going to happen if your starting position is that so-and-so is literally Hitler or a fascist. So, I mean, the first step is recognizing that that's a human being, and then also recognizing that they might have a viewpoint that may expose a weakness in yours. Being willing, what do you always say? Be willing to be wrong.
Oh, yeah.
Because, I mean, wrong all the time.
Yeah.
So be willing to hear about it.
So true.
Humbly. That's Philippians 2, 3, 4, and 5. That used to be just common sense, but it's not anymore.
It's not practice at all.
Where does this go, though? Because it seems to me, ironically, this is the only way. I think the first thing that happens is you actually lose the freedom of speech. Because the only way you maintain freedom of speech is by practicing it and having an environment that encourages it. And freedom of speech isn't really going to matter unless it's being tested in an environment where others hold different views. So getting together with family who may disagree with you is actually practicing the First Amendment, which is a way, which has been an American tradition. You should be able to talk about these things and not worry about some sort of harsh reprisal.
Totally.
And now with social media, you're literally tarred and feathered before everybody. I mean, outright character assassination. We didn't have to worry about that. So don't get me started on social media. But that's a good way to preserve that infinitely valuable First Amendment right.
Yeah.
I mean, that's the first thing that starts to go. People talk, it's Civil War. Actually, long before you even got to Civil War, you talked about the point where we just listen to media narratives, We kind of branch off into sort of political enclaves,
Yeah.
echo chambers, where we only hear things that we already agree with.
Yep.
And so now people are dehumanized
Yeah.
in that environment. And now what you've lost really is there's really no First Amendment, because you can only talk to people who see things exactly the way you see them.
Yeah.
And you
Yeah.
can't really practice that outside of your political silo. So the First Amendment has died in the night.
Mm.
And that's why censorship, I think, this has been going on for a
good.
while. This
It's
isn't
good.
new.
Yeah,
That's
yeah,
why
yeah.
censorship in the age of COVID was a lot easier than it surprised me. I was like,
Mm-hmm.
holy crap, how quickly people kind of caved.
Quick.
Because it's been happening over time. These silos have been building
Yeah.
over time.
Yeah.
And so people are used to, oh, I can't talk to Mo because, he votes a certain way and I don't, and he thinks differently than I do. So of course we can't talk. And that's become the new normal. That's
It has.
really dangerous stuff, man.
It
So
has.
this has serious implications
It does.
politically, not just
But we don't
if you're a
practice it.
believer.
We got to practice defending the faith, practice disagreeing, practice convincing people. Like Paul, that's where we get the word apologetics from,
Yeah.
apologia. He gave an apologia, 2 Timothy 2:15, right? Do your best to show yourself approved to God, a worker who's not embarrassed to properly handle the word of truth.
Yeah.
And so Paul modeled that. He spoke to in the Athenians. He convinced them. He knew their argument better than they knew their argument. And he was effective. He was an effective apologist, giving a defense for the faith. And we should also. And so we just don't do it. And the church should model that. And that's why, I'm and I'm not just making, I really believe this. I mean, I just can't speak highly enough about Ed, Pastor Ed, who you work with, and you're a pastor under his leadership. His boldness. I mean, he speaks to truth and love. He's got a passion for people. I mean, just really
Big time.
It's a
Big time.
and I tell people it's genuine.
It's fully genuine.
And it's not just while he's on stage. It's the same when he's off stage. And he's a little freer to talk when he lets me, I talk the way I talk around everybody, and he accepts me for it. But I speak honestly with him, I give counsel to him, and so I'm honored to do that. But I'm proud of him. I wish more pastors were like that. So more pastors are afraid. They're afraid not to delve into things outside their lane, as Joel Osteen says. Sorry, you didn't defend Joel Osteen too? TD Jakes
couldn't
and
resist
Joel
that.
Osteen? How about Kenneth
What was
Copeland?
the conversation?
Kenneth Copeland?
What was the point that you
Can
were
you
going to make?
criticize Kenneth?
What was the point that you were going to make, George?
He lost me at Joel Osteen, so it doesn't matter what point I was.
Good
Momo.
Lord.
Is it okay? Nobody?
Not right now, man.
I wanna-
Not right now.
I want to know.
I won't talk about Steve
We're
Furtick.
talking about
Go ahead.
disagreements right now.
Go ahead. I want to know what this looks like in practice. I'm envisioning a podium, maybe forget podium, 2 panels on stage, where you have people that, let's say, at least the leadership in that church will say, yeah, these are godly men and women. We know them. They walk with the Lord, but they have distinctly different views on issues.
Yeah,
Now, I realize we have a category of issues called non-negotiables,
Yeah.
for sure.
and those
Essentials.
we'll discuss those at some other point.
Yeah.
But generally speaking, there's a lot of people who are dividing over ridiculous stuff,
1,000%.
and so maybe start with those things.
Yeah.
Start with those things that aren't not negotiables, like the sanctity of human life. Although I'm all for it, having that kind of debate in a
No,
church
yeah, for
environment
sure, yeah.
between people that walk with God,
Yes.
but have some differences on that. And then I would love to see an event where people in the congregation can come and hear
Yeah.
them, sort of discuss their views, and back up their views, and then talk about how that's grounded in Scripture, because ultimately that's the highest authority in the life of a believer.
Yep.
I would love to see that.
Well, Mo,
pastors tend.
I'm sorry.
I was-
Don't finish your thought, because I
was
want to
gonna-
bring a soft topic up.
I was going to say, Nico just brought this up, and I'm just trying to take it to its logical conclusion. You're saying the church needs to model that. So it's not just pastors preaching very important, clear, scripturally grounded sermons, but then it's living that out. That's the fruit of Jesus' prayer. He wanted his disciples to be sanctified by the truth.
Yeah.
And a sermon's a start, but it's not the end. So now you got to go out and practice this stuff. What does that look like in a church environment? Because a lot of pastors are running for the high grass when it comes to stuff like that.
Yeah.
And so I'd love to see that model.
Even though there's disagreement on, because I think the example of this, we saw it, but I know there's disagreement on these 3 topics, but there shouldn't be. Abortion,
I knew-
marriage,
I knew he was gonna.
and sex.
Exactly.
Those are
Non-negotiable.
you can try to
Sex
fit
as gender or sex as the act?
both.
Okay.
Both. I mean,
Yeah,
there's two
that's
there's two genders. So and I know we like to play gymnastics with words and fit a circle in a square, but both. I mean, so those to me those are clear. You have to have what George says hermeneutical gymnastics to try to justify the worldly view on those topics because God's the author of life. But I think to your point, godly people and many of them good intention when it came to BLM.
Mm-hmm.
I think you saw that clear as day when it came to Black Lives Matter.
Yeah.
The sentiment versus the corporation, right? Incorporated.
Yeah.
And we made a distinction early on. You and I, we talked about this with Pastor Flowers, and we had Charles on with us.
Yeah, I went and watched it. Yeah.
Did you watch it?
Yeah,
in the
yeah, I went
heat
and
of
watched it.
right?
Yeah.
And you see Stu, Pastor Stu,
The other guy. Yeah, yeah,
Stu's a good dude.
Yeah,
man.
yeah, yeah.
I miss Stu, but I got to go to lunch with him. But so we just early on,
really
and we
good.
went to and this was when it wasn't popular, and I'm not going to mention names, and many churches folded, and that was something new. They were out of their comfort zone, and I think Scripture was very clear for us to guide us in that direction. And I get it's personal, and I get it's just skin color, and I always say God cares about skin color as much as He cares about His creativity because He does. And, but it's not your identity because if we peeled the skin back,
The higher. Yeah.
you
yeah.
can't tell that you have black organs versus my brown organs or your Portuguese organs,
Yeah.
I don't know what you are. You white or brown? I don't know what Portuguese people are. What the hell are you people? I mean,
I'm confused at the moment, but
but all I'm saying is again, there's another false idol. And what is one thing Christ rails against false idols. And anything, as a definition, anything that takes the place of Christ being your first love is by definition an idol.
For sure. For sure.
And God warns against that. And so we just have to be real careful. We have to make sure that whatever we believe and we advocate for the Christ follower is rooted in Scripture. My opinion
precedent.
is God's opinion. My job is to make sure I understand God's opinion on an issue. I don't have an opinion. I don't. I mean, I have an opinion because I'm a human being and I'm on this side of heaven.
Right.
And I have a personality and God has given me whatever talents He's given me. But my opinion, I hope, and I'm working on to make sure all my opinions are God's opinions.
Right.
That's just it. Now, how I express it's a different story, but that's my 2 cents on it.
No, for sure. And just a little bit of, I'll land the plane as well, but just the, as the church modeling it, and it's interesting how much we've gotten divided, but then in weird ways that how much we've progressed from, denominational standpoint. I mean, there was moments, I'm sure, George, you know this, but Baptists talking to charismatics or charismatic, there was just hardcore, Assemblies of God not talking to whatever, Foursquare. I mean, there was a day
what?
that, all the non-essentials.
Oh, got it.
I mean, but deeply. I mean, a day where a Baptist was in the pulpit of an Assemblies of God. Good, no way. 20 years ago, yeah, right. I mean, it was. I mean, and I grew up just a little bit seeing them over there, and we don't, and they're so. And it's weird how much culturally, we've just declined. But we're at a day now where it's much more of a freedom of sitting down, honestly, a kind of even recognize we were tripping. Why was that a thing?
I mean, I can think of on that point 3 issues that are not negotiables, but that we're pitting people at each other's throats.
Yeah,
immigration.
Back in the day or now?
Back in the day, like 10 minutes ago. Like
I know now.
like illegal immigration.
I thought you were talking
Jesus is a
about
refugee nonsense.
I got
and
you.
all of that. So that immigration was a big deal. I mean,
That one's
the
not
fire,
as clear as other ones, though.
the fire on social media seemed crystal
It's
clear to me.
I'm just saying, but in all fairness, if I'm giving an objective of, I can see why people got distracted by that, but it's clear.
No,
but it's not as
important
clear as
point.
other
To that
things.
important point, I can see why people got distracted, over racism and immigration. And then, and how about economics? The poor and the 1%.
Yeah.
And the billionaires and the millionaires, right? And in creating this class of people that it's okay to hate on all the time, right? And there are issues like that people are just fired up about and begin to call each other evil over.
Yeah.
And you're not worth listening to because you've lost your humanity.
Yeah.
Because you took a certain position.
Yeah.
Those would be useful ferreting out in in a church environment.
I see what you're saying. I see what you're saying.
Again, people who are godly, who walk with the Lord, but have some
Totally.
differences of opinion and believe
Yeah.
that they can back up their opinion.
Yeah, yeah.
Now, I tell you what, I mean, we've done this in grad school. For me, the most useful thing, Nico, is when I present my argument after someone has presented an argument, a lot of times while they're finishing their argument, I'm like, holy crap, that's actually something I didn't consider as I prepared for this, you know,
Good.
and I, because I always try to go anticipating what the other
course,
person
of
does.
course.
That's what a trial lawyer does.
Be informed.
Right.
Yeah. And a lot of times I learned, crap, that's a vulnerability in my argument. I actually I'm not as prepared for that.
Wow.
That's a learning point.
Yeah.
That's huge for me. I love that. That can be very instructive. Where better to learn that in a family? We call ourselves a family
I
of God.
know.
Let's practice that.
I love seeing that in
So,
academia.
I don't know.
For sure, especially on the close your ears seminaries. But
I don't like seminaries. Momo.
but,
Just like Obama and TD Jakes for you, don't mention seminaries to him.
For schools of theology and philosophy, but
Right at the end,
got
you're
him
going to do this
going.
to George. Momo.
seminaries,
right at the end.
like seminiferous.
Well, but look, what I love is I love that we can talk about issues here, and hopefully we'll work it out. I hope it models to people because we disagree on things, and we have in the past, but we agree on Christ. And so what I love about my walk with you, Mo, and I'm not trying to make you feel good. I've said this to you privately, but I want to do it publicly. You've always have a heart to please Christ, and we joke, but we've had deep, genuine and meaningful discussions on politics
Yeah.
and how it relates to our faith and where should the Christ follower be on issues. Forget about the partisanship, because each tribe grabs issues. And to God, He doesn't care about the tribe; He cares about the issue.
Yeah.
Whichever tribe wants to tie themselves to the issue,
Right.
come aboard, or hey, then we have issues. We have a problem with that. But I just love that your yearning, your hunger. I mean, as close as I've been with you, and it's been an intent. We've been close for a while now. It's been an honor. I love it. I love that we can talk, and you're. I hope it models to people how we can disagree and how we can joke and
I
tease
agree.
each other, but still love on each other, and then but be open minded. Like I never go into a conversation thinking I can't learn something. That's number one. And the only thing that you're not going to convince me is that Christ is the
Right.
Messiah. That you're never going to convince me of that because it's true. Not just because I say so, because I think the evidence supports it. And I believe in the authority and the reliability of God's word. My job is to make sure I understand what He's telling me.
Yeah.
I'm not trying to make our job, and what these denominations you're talking about is God leaves us this last will and testament, this love letter called the 66 books, His library of the Bible, and then we're trying to make it fit our pet project, whatever it is. And that's not what, and that would irritate the crap out of me if I'm in a grave and I left a will and it's like, hey, dickhead, it meant what I said it means. It doesn't mean what you say it means. And so, and I think as the Christ followers, Christians, that's what should be our goal: obedience and fidelity. Fidelity to God's word. We're the bride of Christ. We should be loyal. We should have a fidelity to God's word, and we should be obedient. Those two things, fidelity and obedience, I don't think we talk about enough.
I would humbly add courage. In your
of
example,
course.
in Marquise's example, you guys, look, for years, we've been pretty tough on the American pastorate. We have, and because we believe that the pulpit
Right. It's a reason.
has
Yeah, for sure.
has been a neglected battlefront in the American church. And you guys, frankly, honestly, I think you give us hope, and because I mean, this is not an easy forum to come in, and because we'll challenge. I mean, we love you, but we'll
for sure.
challenge you,
Please. Yeah.
and
right,
you'll do
right,
the same
right.
thing back.
Yeah.
And not everybody can handle that. I mean, I think pastors have entered this kind of comfort zone where the highest, as Nico says, the highest
great
objective
point.
is to be liked
That's a great point.
versus being ambassadors, which means what you might say might not be very popular, but it's the truth.
But you're representing the home country.
Yeah,
Right.
exactly.
Just last thing, 2 minutes. I have to say to that point, the culture of respect that you guys have created. Transparent. I think Marquise had come on once, and then Ed I think came on.
Who?
Marquise and then Ed.
Oh, Ed. Yeah.
Yeah.
I interviewed Ed. Yeah.
But from a distance, I was like, I'm never. That's
No,
oh yeah.
no,
Oh my
really? Oh,
goodness.
really?
There was definitely
friends back then,
There
too.
was definitely
Really?
a perception of like, no way. I felt the like immediate like defense and the posture of like defensiveness.
Really?
Yeah. And I don't know how to dig why or, you know, all the things, but I mean, probably, honestly, if I'm being candid, to your point, we don't, and that's why I told you guys all this time that, you know, the appreciation that I have, we don't flex this muscle enough as pastors. We don't intentionally place ourselves in these settings enough. And as a person coming in, and Marquise was much more, you know, jumping in, willing. You know, he's the.
What made you come on then?
Marquise kind of gave me the, like, you know, when he came. I think I was just coming with him at one point.
Well, you
That
you
very
came.
first-
How
I
many
came
weeks
and
did you
watched-
come and watch?
Yeah, there
For-
was.
for-
There
no,
The
was.
first time I saw him before I
Yeah.
met him,
Yeah.
I met half his face. Like I looked over there, and he was
And it was
literally
just kinda
peeking
hanging.
over?
He was like
yeah.
this.
Yeah.
So he's right. I was like, who's that guy? Kind of looks like this guy. And then I found out
Yeah. But it
you were
was
brothers.
at my initial when Marquise was coming on, and he was just like, "Oh man, I'm going here. You know,
You
come
know
with
what
me."
it was? I don't remember the week, but you came for weeks. I mean, it wasn't just one time.
Oh, for sure.
And you sat there and just listened,
Yes.
and then we'd have the podcast after the show.
Yes.
And I think that kind of built.
That
And then
space
one day
after.
you came, and I just said, "Sit down. What are you doing?"
Right.
And it was kind of impromptu, and,
Yeah.
you took the offer.
Yeah.
And then it's like herpes; you can't get rid of it.
Yeah.
I could tell. I mean, just because I know body language, I could tell that on some things we were discussing, you were kind of doing everything you could from jumping out of your skin.
For sure. I mean, it was just is it a space that's in good faith? Is it, I mean, there's these just thoughts, right?
Sure.
Because Marquise, again, you know, he's the one that lost his black card. He went full, you know,
Hey.
full conservative, full Republican. I'm more of like, I'm kind of dragging my feet.
You're purple.
You know, I'm just purple, right in this kind of weird middle, trying to figure out where things are. So I'm like, I don't know. I think he came on during, it was like, you know, something around, you know, some racial things. And so it was something.
Well, it's been a joy.
It's been a joy. So I say that to say, what you guys intentionally as pastors, intentionally as people, ministers within the church world, placing ourselves in spaces like this, flexing that muscle. But beyond that, people in general, it helps me when it comes to conversation. What I believe, how can I defend that? And then being able to have, I mean, the best conversations where it's like, yeah, you know, we had an intense
Yes.
conversation, and yet hug afber,
Well, we need
love
to
each other
model it.
after.
You
the
need to
model.
model it but look
Yeah.
at Paul and Peter. They went at each other.
Yeah.
And
And
we don't
who's
do
the
that
guy
here.
he separated? Who's the one he was like, we got to go separate ways? Paul and
Peter or Silas?
no.
Oh, Barnabas.
Barnabas.
Oh,
Yeah.
Barnabas.
Yeah.
Oh, and they were close. They were
Yeah,
close.
dude. He's like, and then it was this. I mean, scripture
Yeah.
really actually like talked like, and there was strong. I forget the language, but it's like, oh man,
damn.
there was.
And no
there
one
was,
said one wasn't saved anymore. but
Right,
they still had to
exactly.
separate.
Yeah,
Did I have-
yeah.
Yeah, they split over John Mark.
I
Yeah.
wanna
Yes.
I wanna compliment Ed one more time, just because when I interviewed Ed and he said he would do it again, so I'm gonna take him up on that. 'cause
Yeah,
There
yeah.
needs to be a part two. He got off and he goes, "Man, I thought you were gonna be harder on me."
Dude, I'm
like-
telling you.
I go, "For what? I'm not here to embarrass you. I mean, I love
You're
you.
scary,
No,
Nico.
I just
No,
want to
just-
talk, man. I try. I mean, but it was, but what it made me appreciate it more is like you thought I was going to be hard on you, and you still came on,
Mhm.
which I respect that.
Yeah.
And I go, look, I'm not here to. I mean, I might get embarrassed. I'm just here to talk and challenge ideas.
Totally.
Because in the end, I know you have a love for Christ. I have a love for Christ. I want to make sure that we're good brides. That we as the church
good.
are the bride.
Amen.
Fidelity. Remember, obedience. And yes, without courage, your fidelity and obedience really doesn't go anywhere. So that third aspect, yes, the trifecta is the courage to do and to live out your fidelity and obedience. But I just thought that was interesting. So I love that. I'm going to take Ed up on that offer that him and I
Come
sit down
on.
and do it. He said we do it in the church, like in the seats, and just because there's been a lot to go on, and maybe see how deep he wants to go.
Yeah.
And have conversations and push on each other. But
You steward that well. You
but
steward that
well, I feel like I need to publicly apologize for criticizing TD Jakes in your presence.
What?
So I'm apologizing. I'm repenting.
All right.
Can I repent?
I'll receive it.
And Joel Osteen. What?
And I would like to apologize for not criticizing them enough.
See that? See the balance?
See,
We're
this
so
is-
well balanced.
I just want to be balanced here.
Man.
Well, thank you guys. Look, thanks for joining us, guys. Hope you enjoyed this conversation as much as we enjoy having them. Share this with people you think may benefit from it. Join us next week. I think we're planning on doing part 2 with Marquise.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah,
and then
yeah.
we'll talk about the gifts and signed gifts and all that stuff that we didn't finish on. So hopefully we'll be
Yes.
able to talk it out next week. God bless you guys. Have a wonderful week. Bye-bye.